Hi, hello, Rachel Collins here, the Happy Mummy Health Coach. Today I'm talking to you about 3 reasons you might be craving comfort foods and exactly what you can do about it. Okay, so many people ask me when we start working together if they are going to be allowed to continue eating certain foods. And generally, the rationale behind it is, oh, but chocolate is my go-to comfort food, or mashed potato is my go-to comfort food. And these foods, they're not normally the most healthy of choices. And quite often, people feel like they actually can't live without them. So, firstly, why do we crave foods? It's normally down to our emotional health. And firstly, I think that's pretty incredible. If you stop and think about it, what's going on for us emotionally changes the foods that we want to eat. So it's actually having a really physical effect on our body. And I think that's just absolutely incredible. And we have to kind of take note of that and realise that when we're craving comfort food, that's actually our emotions talking to us. And we need to listen to that and not kind of ignore what's going on inside. We can't ever just tell ourselves that we're being bad, that we're being naughty, that we want to cheat, and all of that really negative stuff. We need to get rid of that, because actually if your body is craving comfort food, it's probably because emotionally you are craving comfort. So let's start to look at 3 things, 3 reasons why you might be craving comfort food. Now, one of the types of comfort foods that loads and loads of people crave are very sweet foods. So sweets themselves are candy, chocolate, ice cream, all that kind of stuff. Really, really sweet foods. And this kind of comes down to the energetics of food, which sounds really kind of hippie, woo-woo, and if that's not your thing, fine, let it go, but just remember your emotions are making you want this food. And that doesn't seem to make sense either. That could be conceived as, perceived as something that's a little bit hippie or woo. Let's just suspend disbelief for a moment here. Your emotions are making you crave sweet foods, and that comes down to the energetics of food, and some of the properties of the tastes and the flavours that you're craving. Now, the ancient Indian tradition of Ayurveda states that the sweet flavour is actually very grounding for your body. It's kind of very stabilising, calming and grounding. So when we're feeling stressed out, having that sweet flavour, according to Ayurveda, will help us feel better, which could be one of the reasons why you're craving sweet foods. Now, the problem is all the sugar that's in those sweet foods that you're craving isn't good for your body. In fact, that's probably going to make your head feel far less grounded and make you feel a little bit scatty, or, induce a blood sugar high, which might make you feel good temporarily, and then a crash, which is going to make you feel lethargic, and generally not so good. So how do we manage that? What do we do when our body craves that sweet taste to ground us, but the way that we get that sweet taste is through eating really sugary things, which is going to kind of send us a little bit haywire? Well, one of the best things that you can do is to start incorporating sweet foods earlier in the day into your diet. And there are lots of sweet foods that aren't necessarily filled with sugar kind of sweet. If you introduce them, it's not going to feel like you're replacing a really sweet like Haribo or chocolate, but it will start to give your body that sensation of sweet and that feeling of grounding. So root vegetables are a really, really good source of sweet flavoured savoury foods. Carrots, sweet potatoes, beetroot, all of those things are going to make you feel more grounded, because they have got that slight sweet taste to them, but they're not going to send your blood sugar going crazy. Obviously, they're not going to cut it if you're already craving a bar of chocolate like crazy. But what these things can do, if you add them in earlier in the day, so if you always crave certain foods before bedtime, add these sweet things in earlier in the day to help your body feel more grounded earlier in the day, so that that craving actually becomes more manageable later in the day. The other thing that you can do, and this kind of goes for all of the comfort food tips and techniques that I work with, the other thing you can do is think about what's going on in your day-to-day life that's making you feel like you need that grounding and that comfort. Sometimes all it takes is a bit of awareness around our comfort food cravings. If we understand why we're craving it in the first place, we might be able to deal with that issue rather than have to worry about kind of banning or denying ourselves that comfort food craving. If you're only craving, your tub of ice cream once every few weeks, once a month, it's probably not that big a deal. But if you're craving a tub of ice cream every single night, that's where you're going to get into problems. And that's where you really, really need to kind of start staving off those comfort foods by going for the sweeter stuff earlier in the day. But also really, really looking at your lifestyle and look at what is it that's making you feel ungrounded. What is it that's sabotaging all your good intentions to eat well and making you crave junk and sweet stuff later in the day? And it's really, really important to address that. So definitely start adding sweeter stuff in earlier in the day. Root vegetables are really, really, God, my nails look awful. I don't know if you can see that on the video. Start adding sweet stuff in. Root vegetables are really, really good. You can cook them in so many different ways. You can even make like sweet potato crisps and stuff. They're absolutely amazing. Other sweet stuff. Rice is naturally very, very sweet. If you chew rice for a long time, you will taste the sweetness. Things like onions are really sweet as well. So start cooking with them. Rice cakes are great. If you chew on those, you can taste the sweetness. It's harder to taste if you're used to eating an awful lot of sweet junk food, but as your taste buds do start to adapt as you start to cut out that junky sugar. You can start to taste the natural sweetness in a lot of the really healthy, savoury stuff that you eat. Okay, so that's one type of craving really, really sweet foods. Another craving that I see quite a lot is very typical childlike foods, and these normally stem from people's childhoods. A few of my clients have said, when I'm having a bad day, I really like to have a nice warm bowl of tomato soup with some bread. And because that's what my mum used to make me, or I like apple pie because that's what my nan used to make me. And these foods really do spark some kind of emotion. They make you feel safe, they make you feel secure because they remind you of this happier, more comforting time. And again, if you're craving foods that are that remind you of your childhood or remind you of a different time, there's a couple of things you can do. One, address the emotions. So just as, if you're craving sweet foods and, I want you to look at why you're feeling ungrounded. If you're craving foods that remind you of your childhood, I really want you to think about what is it in your life at the moment that's making you feel maybe lonely or scared or like you need some form of emotional comfort and security. Start to look at that, because that's what, if you're trying to rekindle that comfort of childhood, what's not working for you at the moment? Really have a think about that. Secondly, something that might not be quite so painful to start doing is to think about stimulating the other senses that you've got to evoke those same emotions. So, for example, our sense of smell, that will take you back in time very, very quickly. That will elicit memories very, very quickly. Smell obviously is very, very associated with food, which is why one of, eating a food from your childhood can very quickly bring back emotions from then. But there are other ways that you can get smells from back in time, whether there's a favourite perfume that your mum used to wear, or even if it's, my mum used to have a lot of potpourri around the house and things like that. Smell is very, very powerful. And it can bring back memories and make you feel good. My other half loves lavender essential oils, mainly because that as a child he remembers his mum using them whenever he was poorly. And for him, if he's feeling a bit down, or particularly if he's feeling a bit poorly, he loves the smell of lavender essential oil because it makes him feel looked after. It reminds him of those days when his mum really cared for him. So sense of smell is really a good sense to stimulate, to rekindle and evoke those feelings and emotions of a bygone time. But there doesn't just have to be the sense of smell. Maybe there is, you could think about hearing. Maybe there's a particular song or a TV program or a film that's going to make you feel like a child again and make you feel happy and secure. The other reason we crave comfort foods that I wanted to tell you about was most comfort foods we crave, and I think this is the only exceptions really, are chocolate and ice cream. Most comfort foods that we crave are warm. They're hot. They have a very heating effect on our body. So it might be soups, it might be mashed potato or pasta. They have very, very warming effects on the body. Now, the reason that we crave warming foods is that the sensation of our body warming up actually makes us feel more secure. So one of the best things that you can do to kind of combat that kind of craving is go and have a warm bath. That sensation of warming your body up will really make a difference. And so there are lots of ways that you can warm your body up. You can have a nice hot cup of tea. You could make yourself a healthy hot chocolate. Sometimes we crave hot chocolates, and you can make a healthy hot chocolate. There's nothing wrong with mixing up some almond milk with some raw cacao, maybe a little bit of maple syrup. I sometimes froth up the almond milk in a Nespresso kind of zhuzhy, frothy, milky thingy. I don't know what you call it. I call it the zhuzher at home. I froth up the milk for the kids in that, add in, sometimes I blend it up with some almond nut butter. You can have some really lovely warming hot chocolates. You can make your own soups. You can definitely have a nice warm bath, an extra long warm shower, a hot water bottle. All those things will make your body warm up and feel better. So you don't have to turn to food as a comfort. So they're just 3 reasons why you might be craving certain foods and things that you can do about those specific cravings. The ultimate thing you need to do is really look at why you're craving comfort in the first place and try and separate out the use of food as a way of comforting yourself. And that can be really, really hard, which is why in my examples I've tried to give you 2 things to do. One is work out, what is the emotion that you need to address and how can you support yourself emotionally, and 2, what can you do physically to kind of recreate the sensations that you get from the comfort food. So I really, really hope that you found that helpful. If you haven't already, make sure you subscribe to my YouTube channel so you don't miss these. You can come and follow me on Facebook. I quite often do Facebook Lives now, so you get kind of shorter snippets of these videos. And I would love it if you are a mum, come over and join me in the Happy Mummy Club. I do even more Facebook Lives in there, but that's a really, really lovely, supportive, growing community of mums who talk about looking after our bodies, nourishing ourselves. It is not a parenting group, so we don't talk about cry it out versus co-sleeping or breast versus bottle, none of that. It's not about how to parent, it's about how to look after ourselves. So come and join me in the Happy Mummy Club. Head over to Facebook and type in the search bar the Happy Mummy Club. Request to join. I do vet members. One, you've got to be a mum. Men aren't allowed in, I'm afraid, because we talk about some sensitive stuff in there. And there's a few group rules, so I do vet you. If you get a message before I let you in, please don't be offended. It's just to keep the group safe. It's been lovely to talk to you today. I hope you found this useful. Take care. Bye bye.